welcome back to another video. If you're new to my channel, my name is Allison. I'm 29 years old. I work part-time in healthcare as a radiation therapist and part-time as a content creator. I would say I mainly post about my personal finances, debt payoff journey, financial resets, but also I do a lot of vlogs and lifestyle content, work-life balance related content. So if any of that is interesting to you, like and subscribe, follow along. Today's video is a very exciting video because this is my first paycheck breakdown with my new part-time income, which I know what you're thinking. Exciting is an interesting word choice because I'm getting paid less, but it's exciting to me because I've been waiting for this day for a while to be able to go part-time. It's also exciting because now I kind of know what my budget is going to look like for the rest of the year. And if you can't tell, I'm a pretty type A person, especially when it comes to my finances. So I do like to budget like months in advance. So again, now that I kind of know what I'm going to be getting paid, I can go ahead and budget, make sure that I'm planning for all of my bills and expenses, all of that. Or the main reason I can really make it work is that last year I was putting a lot of money to my debt and paying that off. So now I can still make this work, and I barely had to cut anything out of my budget because every single paycheck, like $500 or $600 was going towards my credit cards or my student loans or whatever, but now that is all paid off. And I try not to dwell on the fact that, like, yes, I could use that $500, $600 now to like put into savings or investments or pay off my car a little bit faster, but at the same time, I had to take a look at the big picture, and I was not doing well mentally at my job working full-time. So I said, I can't do this anymore. I need to take a step back. I care more about my mental and physical health than money at this point. I care more about myself and my life than working myself to death or climbing some corporate ladder or, getting a promotion. I just want to make enough money to live my life, live simply, be able to do the things I want, pay for the things that I need, and that's it. Enough of my little spiel. We'll get into the numbers. So this was the paycheck that I got paid on January 24th, and it's for the previous 2 weeks of work. Basically, what I'll do is take a look at anything coming out during the next 2 weeks, because I'll use this money to budget anything for the coming 2 weeks until I get paid again. The hours that I worked during this pay period were 49.25 hours, which I am going to start kind of mentioning that because I feel like it's important now that I'm working less. It is going to fluctuate a little bit because, like, if I stay extra, like, I'll definitely always get at least 48 hours because now that I'm only working 3 days a week, I'll make sure on those days I stay the whole 8 hours. For example, this week I took an extra shift, so that's going to be a whole extra 8 hours. So there are going to be weeks where it definitely fluctuates. And the reason I couldn't really predict, I guess, what my paycheck was going to be is because this was also my first paycheck of like 2020, like totally 2025. The reason this one was a little bit different as well was because I am now on my husband's benefits. So that is not getting taken out of my paycheck anymore. And at the beginning of the year, starting January 1st, I believe, I got a raise. So it was really hard for me to figure out what exactly my take-home pay was going to be because there was a couple different factors that were involved. That's why I was kind of like highly anticipating this paycheck because there was a lot of factors at play, and I was like, I don't even really know what to even estimate as like what my budget's going to be. And I obviously try to pre-budget as best as I can. So I did underestimate, which is good. I always try to do that so that I'm not like over budgeting or budgeting with money that I don't have. So I had estimated that I was gonna make about $1,500, and my paycheck was actually $1,600.74. So I was pretty close, but again, I was happy that I under budgeted at least. So I made an extra $100 than I thought I was going to. That was my paycheck, and then I had $183.68 carry over from my last paycheck, which is awesome. I have been doing so well with not spending any extra money because I typically, you'll see at the end of this breakdown, I leave myself with a little bit of money for the next 2 weeks just in case anything comes up, because things do, like I'm pretty sure I had to buy windshield wiper fluid. I do want to get a car wash, like little things like that do come up, so I don't want to like leave myself with no money. But I will say overall, I have not been spending a lot of money. I've also, I think, was a little bit thinking ahead. Like, I know that I'm gonna start getting paid less money, so I need to make sure I have a little bit more carrying over as like a buffer just in case. And it's been working great for me. The other reason I kept this a little bit higher is because next Friday I'm getting my car looked at. It needs its yearly inspection and an oil change and, you know, the works. I'm a little nervous about what they're gonna say and how much that's gonna cost. So I was like, I need this whole thing to carry over and basically like save it just for the car appointment next week. That's why I didn't do anything with that, because I'm really not sure how much that's going to cost. If we add those together, my total that I have to budget with is $1,783. The first few things within my budget are very standard. The first thing is obviously my rent. I always start with this because it's pretty much the biggest expense that comes out every paycheck. Our rent is very cheap, which we are grateful for. We have decided to stay here for a little bit longer to take advantage of that. We pay $850. I pay the rent. My husband pays some of the other bills because our rent is so low. So from this paycheck, I'm saving $400 for the rent. This will be for February's rent. I put $50 into my emergency fund. I'm trying to build that up, but I'm very afraid that they're going to tell me that I need new tires on my car, and I know that that's going to be like $1,000, which I have the money for, it's fine, but I would rather not take that out of my emergency fund right now because I'm trying to build that up. It's not even where I would like it to be, and then I would have to take money out of it, but we'll see. Then into our joint savings account, me and my husband have one. We are saving for a house. We both are putting $150 in there every single paycheck. We upped that a little bit. It was only $100, but then we started kind of doing the math, and to get to a certain number that we're looking for, we both were like, okay, we can put a little bit more in each paycheck and we'll get to our goal by this date. I know I kind of mentioned this before, but we did decide to delay the process of buying a house a little bit. One of my main goals was to buy a house this year, but we both got a little nervous. It's a big decision. It's a big purchase. The market is trash. I don't know if it's ever gonna get any better. It could get worse, but it could get better. It could stay the same. I don't think there's any real rush right now because it doesn't look great. So instead of putting ourselves in a situation where we're going to feel stressed or overwhelmed or stressed for money, we decided to wait, save a little bit more, maybe start looking next year. I mean, potentially it could be the end of this year. I don't know. Depends on a few different factors, but definitely not like our original plan had been like in the next few months, but that is going to get pushed back a little because I also started getting freaked out by everyone saying like, okay, you need to put down this much and then you also need closing costs. We're hiring movers this time because we have too much stuff in this apartment. Some of the appliances are ours in this apartment. It's just going to be a little more expensive than we think. So we want to save a little bit more to cover some of those costs as well. That way too, we can both pay off some of our other debts in the meantime. Again, because that will free up more money for us when we do buy a house. Like if I pay off my car by the time we buy a house, then that's another $350 a month that I'm not putting towards a car payment. I know in my heart I'm going to feel so much better if we wait. Sorry for that tangent. I just wanted to share that because I know I was kind of talking about that as one of our big main goals for the year, but pause that. The next thing is I'm automatically putting $50 into my Roth IRA, which I just started again. The next thing that automatically goes into a separate account is $125 for groceries. We opened a separate account, like a separate checking account for groceries, so we both have a debit card that we can use, and this covers groceries, household items, and it's been working really well. Next, I look at any subscriptions that are coming out. I think maybe it's almost time for me to go through again and cancel some of these. Unfortunately, I do use a lot of them. It's just subscriptions are insane. Like, because I have 4 subscriptions coming out during the next 2 weeks. I have my Spotify, which is $11.99, Hulu, which is $9.99, Canva is $15, and CapCut is $24.99. I do pay for Canva Pro and CapCut Pro because obviously I create content, and there are some features on those things that I just need to pay for, unfortunately. Canva I use to make some of my thumbnails on YouTube, and to get the background remover feature, you need to pay for Pro. And then CapCut I also use to edit my YouTube videos. I use it to edit my short form videos. I don't necessarily need it for that, but there are features and sounds and whatever that I use the Pro version for on my laptop. So unfortunately, those 2 are very expensive, but again, they are business expenses, but it does stink because everything is a subscription, and it just seems like they keep upping the price as well, because Hulu used to only be, well, I think back in the day, it only used to be $5.99, and then it was $7.99, now it's $9.99. I'm like, when does it stop? I'm not gonna keep paying so much for all of these subscriptions. The next thing that I always budget for is my cats. I do get cat food and cat litter auto delivered, and during these next 2 weeks I need both of those things. That is about $75. Then I set aside $75 to pay for our phone and internet bill. So from my previous paycheck I saved about $150, and then this paycheck I saved $75. So then I sent $225 to my husband to pay for the phone and internet bill. And the only reason we do it that way is because his name is on the bill and it's set up as like auto pay. We get a discount if it's on auto pay. Again, I took over that bill because, well, one, I was already paying for the internet, but then we combined our phone and internet bills, and I said I would take over the phone bill as well because I don't have any more credit card payments or anything like that, and he does, and I want to take away some of his stress and bills to help him pay that off faster. And also, it's wintertime, and our heat bill, which he still pays, is like double. He's been paying that, and I took over this bill. So it all evens out, but from this paycheck, I only paid $75. But the next thing is $50 for my car registration. So on top of all of the things that possibly I'll have to pay for my car, it's also the yearly registration fee. Yeah, it just seems like always it all happens at the same time. This is where I'll add that up like separately and see where I'm at, and then I can figure out how much I can put towards my car loan, because that's really the only other like expense or anything that I'm really trying to pay off right now. And what I figured was $250. So that's the last thing in my budget. So then I'll add all of that up, and that comes to $1,283. And then I'll subtract that from the $1,783. That worked out those numbers kind of worked out really well. And that leaves me with $500, which seems like a lot, and it is, but obviously it's higher for a reason. I'm not dumb. But I left that higher for the car situation. I technically have $500 carrying over. $100 of that is budgeted for gas. I think usually I budget for around 3 tanks of gas. So then that leaves me with about $400. I'm probably budgeting about $200 of that for my car appointment next week, for the oil change, inspection, and Lord knows what else might come up. I feel really good about that budget. Again, I'm just happy that I'm thinking a little bit ahead now. Like, I feel like I've come so far from where I was even like last year, where I wouldn't even have $200 to pay for anything for my car. I would have just gone to the appointment, put it on the credit card, and then worried about it down the line. So we're at least in a better position than we were. And obviously, if anything else is wrong or happens to be wrong, I do have an emergency fund where I can take money out to pay for anything. So we're in a very good spot. I still feel a certain type of way about it because I know an emergency fund is for emergencies, but something about taking money out of there just makes you like sad. So I'm really hoping that, like, I've prepared myself mentally that they're gonna say I need tires. I'm just hoping that they say, like, get them in the next few months, because my plan was to get them in like April so that I at least have a few more months to save. That's my budget for the next 2 weeks. Last thing I'm gonna do is show you guys my template, as usual, the budgeting spreadsheet that I use and how I fill it in with these numbers that I just mentioned. As always, the template that I use is by Coplenty. I use the yearly budgeting template 2.0. I just switched to this one because it now shows some of the negative numbers in red, which I think is going to be very helpful for me. And also when I show this template during my like monthly resets, see where I overspent. But I do have a discount code, so if you want to check out any of these templates, purchase one, you can use them year after year. I'll put my link down below, but let's take a look at this spreadsheet here. So the first thing I'm going to do is add in my paycheck number 2. So obviously I can put here my expected income. So like I said, I had budgeted kind of a little bit lower, but my actual paycheck, I am waiting for a couple payments from brand deals. We're at the end of January here, so I'm not really sure if they're gonna process. Brand deal payments are frustrating, I will say, because they say it's like net 30 or net 60, so like you'll post the video but you might not get paid for 30 or 60 days, which feels like forever when you're waiting for a payment. I'm not gonna lie. We will see. I actually need to email one of the brands because it's been way past what they said. So that also happens sometimes. Just giving you guys a little sneak peek of what actually happens when you work with brands. In general, I've had no issues really. Sometimes you do need to reach back out and just inquire about a payment. So I do need to do that, unfortunately. It just is, it feels frustrating too because you're like, I don't want to feel annoying. I don't want to keep bothering everyone. Sorry for that little side note, but sometimes that, like, I find these things interesting to know, at least, like if you're thinking about being an influencer or like content creator. This is one of the reasons though why I would like a team or like a social media manager at some point, maybe by the end of the year. Not that I make a ton of money right now from social media, but at least then I could have someone else doing this for me, and also having somebody be able to like make deals for me and also negotiate a little bit more for me because I don't really do that right now. Next, like the really main portion of this that you use is this bottom part where you're inputting any of the transactions. Down here, I'll even put in any of the savings. So yesterday was the 24th. I put $50 into my emergency fund, $150 into the house fund, and I put $50 into my Roth IRA. I don't put in the rent or the groceries into here because I usually just like when we go and buy the groceries, I'll put that amount into here because that money is still there in that account, if that makes sense. I don't know. When we buy groceries, I put that amount in here, and then the rent is technically for February 1st. So that money is saved currently, and I'll actually put that rent payment in my February tab because that's February's rent. So I don't do anything with that. I will also add $250 for the car payment, $50 for my car. I'm putting this under car other, and then over here I'll write registration. And then I did officially pay for our internet and phone bill. I technically only put $75 from this paycheck, but I had saved the $150 from my previous paycheck, and that wasn't accounted for in here. So I added those together, sent them for this payment, and then now that I've sent that payment, I track it on here. And then again, any other expenses that come up during these next 2 weeks, I add them in here. So actually one thing already did come out today. The cat litter charge came out today, so I add that in here as well. I like to use this column just in case, like when I go back, I can see like what exactly did I spend this money on if it's not like super clear. So yeah, that's pretty much how this works. And then when you go back up here, it will show you all of those numbers that you just input, like auto-populate up here into the correct category. Obviously I paid my phone bill. My budget originally I was thinking was $200. Phone and internet, I just wanted to send him a little extra just in case because it is like the first month that we combined these two things together. But then mainly the numbers I added were over here. So my emergency fund, house fund, Roth IRA. So as we can see here, again, it shows red here, like I overspent, but in these categories it's okay to be in the red because I'm saving more. So again, we'll go over any of these nitty-gritty numbers in my monthly reset, but this is kind of how this works and how you visualize it all. And again, this is my first month kind of with this new budget, some changes in our budget and bills and whatever. So this is a good month for me to just get a good grasp for what the coming months will look like and how I can really hone in on the budget. That is how I budget my paychecks and how I was able to budget this new lower part-time paycheck as well. I hope this was interesting. I love making these videos. I find them really fun and I love sharing all of this with you guys. My journey on how I've grown with my budgeting. Again, if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe, follow along, and I will see you guys very soon in my next video.